Do you get a lot of hate comments or comments that are a bit disturbing, or is it a rare phenomenon?
Not hate. Um, Disturbing, yes, but not. Yes, I'm very fortunate that there haven't been many. There are some that, as I say, I don't understand.
Mm.
Um, that whether it's me trying to read the music behind the words, I'm not sure. So I have to be very careful not to say too much because I haven't got the whole picture.
Mm.
And there've been some interesting ones where you get somebody saying nice things about the channel or a particular video, and then launching into, and I used to be, and now I've got lots of money, and okay, thank you very much. Bye bye.
Yeah, I think
So,
it's inevitable. I mean, those type of comments and responses will
yeah.
basically come by as you get more and more reach in YouTube.
Mm. But I answer every message. I look at every message.
Mm.
Um, Friends keep saying, you need to stop doing that, but no, I'll keep doing it as long as I can.
I mean, as long as the ratio of the good comments is more than the bad comments, I think it wouldn't affect you that much.
No, no, the bad comments are, very, very few. So
Mhm.
I hope
Okay.
that doesn't bring the gremlins flying in.
I mean, that gives one hope of the world. I mean, I feel like
Absolutely.
disturbed people or people who have a lot of adversities and they let it get to them, they're not that many. So I think it's the exposure is not that much.
Mm.
So
And I
thinking,
have to say that I really enjoyed your piece on energy and letting go and things that tied in with my one that set off this crazy ride I've been on.
well,
I
I really
really enjoyed
appreciate it.
that. Is
I'm
it
glad
okay if
I,
I put the details in the blurb underneath for
that
people to
that would
click
be
through?
really nice of you. Thank you so much for that. I really
My pleasure.
appreciate it.
My pleasure.
And I'm actually really happy you liked the video. Um, Speaking of the comment section and how people seem that they're more careless into giving advice or to judge fast in this fast-paced world, what values or habits do you think are being lost or overlooked? I feel like a lot of values are lost, like when people start commenting in Twitter, even on YouTube, because there's it's in the safe space of their home, so they can basically do anything and they don't have the they don't have what happens when you do something bad in the world when they're doing it behind the keyboard. What
Yeah.
habits do you think are being lost or overlooked?
Face-to-face communication in many cases. I mean, I know that's an old one that we're concerned about the younger folk on their phones all the time. But I was talking to a younger one the other day, and I said, do you know, when I get Siri to put a timer on my phone or something, I said, I always click back and say, hey, Siri, thank you. And they said, so do I. I said, oh, I'm not the only idiot around. She said, well, if AI takes over, I want them to remember that I've been nice and polite to them, which I
I'm
thought was a
actually
good way of hedging your bets.
yeah, I'm actually too nice to AI too for that very reason. I'm shocked that you guys do it too.
Oh, good. Welcome to the team.
I mean, I think it's a
Um,
safe bet. I mean, with this pace, it
yeah,
might take over.
yes, yes. Oh dear. And it's very difficult to tell sometimes. I mean, if I've got a phone call and I sort of start telling them something, and I think, hang on, is it a person or is it a machine?
Mm.
Have I just wasted my breath?
I actually made a video I haven't uploaded yet that I think in several years it will be so hard to distinguish truth that we will go back to the era where we didn't have the printing press and we didn't have these media companies. So it
Mm,
would be easier for people to create religion, myths, and fake stories. So it will be as if we'll go back in history. I feel like in a few years, it will be really hard to distinguish what's fake news, what's true news with AI and everything. And that's one of the things that keeps me awake at night these days.
mm. I have a big thing about people saying, well, it's my truth. No, it's your
Mm,
opinion,
yeah.
and that's different. There's only one truth.
Mm,
I remember we all put different spins on things. When I was class teaching, um, I got my son to pretend to break into the classroom, and I'd said I'd got this box and it was very precious. And he snatched the box and ran out with it. And I said, oh, right, okay. Before I call the police, I need you to write down a quick description of the person. And, it was amazing, the difference. And that's what they perceived.
mm.
And that's where we're going all the time now.
Yeah,
So,
I think the
yeah,
concept of
people get,
truth is a very tricky thing in human life because I I mean a lot of people say that there's one ultimate truth at the end of the day, but I really believe to humanity that truth is never accessible because
mm,
well the reason that truth is never accessible to humanity is because throughout history I feel like whoever had power had the benefit of writing history and it's
yeah,
constantly happening. So you never know
yes,
what's actually true and what's not.
no, no. There's always a big bias on things. Yes.
Mhm,
So, as you say, finding out what is true, unless it's something that you've seen with your own eyes, witnessed, and been a part of,
mhm.
we're just hoping.
Yep, yep. I have one question that I think it would be interesting to ask elderly people because the basic question is this: what is love?
Go. Love is a very misused word. I mean,
Mhm,
you can say, I love this pair of shoes. Oh, I love that meal. But then you say to somebody, I love you.
mhm,
You can't equate. I think we fail by having just one word. There are some
mhm,
languages that have lots and lots of different words for it. And I think that's where we fall short. But to
mhm.
really love somebody, ooh, yes. Now that's a good one for over a glass of wine, I think. Um, some will say that you do everything for the person,
Mhm,
but to me, it has to be give and take. If it's balance. If the relationship isn't balanced, then somebody's in a place of power.
mhm,
And that to me isn't what I see as love. But then I love being out in nature. I love looking at the minutiae of life.
mhm.
So yeah,
I feel like
it's misused.
it's misused and it doesn't have a clear definition at all. And a lot
No.
of young people get wound up on it.
Mm.
But I don't know, there was this one psychologist who defined it in a way that really appealed to me. And
Mhm.
this is his exact words. He said, I think his name is Orion Taraban. I'm not sure if
Right.
I said that right, but I'll write it down somewhere here. And he said that love is humility and exultance.
Mm.
Like, it's like it doesn't. And he gave a reference to the movie Casablanca. I don't know if you have seen that movie or not.
Yes, not for a long time, but yes.
Yeah, yeah, like he gave that example of how the guy told the person he loved to go on the plane. You know, there's spoiler alert, and
Mhm,
go with the other man because he knew that that was the best thing for that girl. Even
mhm,
though he loved her so much, he wanted to be with her, but he knew the best thing for her was to be with the other man. And I like that description of love that that psychologist gave. Like there's humility in this action, but there's
mm.
exultance. You don't come out of it as if you're basically defeated.
No, no, yes. But there's a lot of people who take, and in that situation, you've got to give, you've got to be a giver as well.
Mhm.
For some people that comes hard,
Yeah.
but no, I like that. And of course, Bible describes love. I can't quote now. My mind's gone blah, 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 as soon as I've said that. But love vaunteth not itself up. So
Mhm.
yeah. Mm,
Interesting. Interesting.
yes,
So
yes.
let's move on to your thoughts on aging and legacy. And
Uh,
I'm so sorry, but we have to go through this because who else would be the best to ask from? How
well,
do you view?
a young lady like me doesn't know.
I was actually considering removing this part, but
Coward.
well, how do you view aging? Do you think society has a healthy relationship with it?
No.
Mm,
Short answer, no. Um, I think COVID made it worse as well, because yes, we're aware of how difficult it was for children not being in school, etc. But for many older people, I've talked with my friend who I mentioned before. I mean, we talk every single day, and we both feel that we aged after COVID, that it really aged
mhm,
us a lot because it stopped us going out, and we're not, well, she's not been out since really, apart from going to the hospital. And for so many, it isolated them more and made them feel and act in an old way.
mm.
I mean, up here, I'm about 33, I think, but the
You're not
rest of them,
18, 19?
90? No, no, I wouldn't like to be that young anymore. I'd be quite happy early 30s. Yes.
Mm.
But
Well, I
with the
should.
knowledge and understanding that I've got now, take that back with me.
Ooh, you would probably
Ooh.
dominate the world.
But then when you think of that knowledge and understanding, how much you've lost in those years, how much you had piled into you at school that's gone, and the same with me, you know.
Mm.
And then occasionally you'll have a ching moment and think, where did that come from? I didn't know I knew that.
A lot of things in life, I feel like at the moment when you're living, you don't realize, but like 10 years down the line, you notice their significance. And then you notice
Yes.
their direct effect on your on the now.
Mm, mm,
That's crazy for me. But this aging thing, I don't think hospitals are helping much either. I had a very different view of hospitals and the majority of doctors before med school and
mm,
after med school. I feel like before med school, hospitals were these places where people actually went to heal, right? That was the
yeah,
idea behind it.
yes.
And I mean, I don't know if this is the case in all around the world, but in Hungary, the state of hospitals are not that good.
Mm,
And I felt whenever I entered the hospital for a practice or something, I mean, the psychiatry department was horrible, but whenever I entered it, I told myself like I wouldn't let my dad stay here or my mom stay here.
mm,
Like
mm,
it's not an area or a place for healing
mm.
because I'm a healthy individual. I enter that hospital and I get depressed and I can't wonder like how the patients are feeling at that stage.
I mean, going back can't remember, I'm hopeless with dates and years. I have said on my site, I've been very open that I had a breakdown.
Mm,
And my sons decided that they really couldn't cope with me because they felt they couldn't help. So I ended up in a psychiatric ward.
mm,
Nobody did anything for me apart from give me meds. I couldn't go
mm.
in the day room because it was smoking room and I hate smoke. So I just spent the whole of the time on my bed. And then people started coming to me and asking me advice as if I'd got, tattoo, I'm a counselor, you can talk to me.
Mm.
So I just discharged myself.
I just
They were even thinking of bringing the cat in, could they sneak the cat in to me?
oh no,
So
Jesus, like
fortunately, they didn't try that.
it's a crazy thing with psychiatry. I mean, of course, I've noticed like a lot of doctors also they get burnt out in the psychiatry ward. They don't
Mm,
pay enough attention to the patients and they just want to drug them, sedate them, and then just let them be. And then
yeah.
their whole theory is to stabilize them and then get them to society and then they get messed up in the society and then bring them back stabilized and then it's just a repetitive cycle of people coming in and going out. And it's a wonder for me, like when for other body parts, like when someone has
Mm,
a major illness physically, you take them to the hospital because the hospital, for example, is the best environment for them to basically get cured, right, of their illness. But in psychiatric wards, like I don't know in the West, but in Hungary, in some parts of Europe, the psychiatry wards, like okay, if your idea is to cure their mental illness, I don't think an environment where it has bars and there's no nature outside can help that patient. As if the hospital environment is good for patients with physical illnesses, you have to find an environment that's good for the psyche of the patient. So I would consider like psychiatric hospitals should be like hotels because that's the
mhm.
only way you can influence their minds. Like they should seek refuge to heal in the wards, and I don't see that in
Yeah.
psychiatric
No,
hospitals.
no. And the number of people struggling with mental health, mental well-being is certainly not going down, shall we say.
And it's on the rise. It's crazy.
Mm,
Like one scary factor that I was watching on YouTube from Dr. K was that suicide rates are increasing. And they're just
mm,
constantly increasing. And
yeah.
that's really scary, I think, for a like why would people in a society want to like willingly kill themselves?
Mm,
So it's very
yes.
worrying. And like I came to psychiatry because I felt like whenever I studied anything in medicine, I was open to every field. There was nothing that connected more for me because I had certain events in my life. I felt always secluded from people, and I feel like this area of expertise will lead me into people's lives, and that's a very great play. How do you say? Honor to have that position.
Oh gosh, yes.
And
Yes.
I feel like now that I've come and my eyes are opened of the field, I feel like I need to be a force for change in the field. And that's what I'm aiming for. Like
Good
to
for you.
probably change the hospital settings, the way we administer drugs and everything. That
Mm,
makes me happy to have that goal
good,
too. So it's
good.
two-way.
And I mean, there are other things besides drugs. I mean, I use a lot of essential oils.
Mm,
I like working with essential oils. Um, I only will ever use the very pure ones, the therapeutic grade ones, but I used to have a lot of migraines, and so I was having to take meds for that. And
mm,
I hated that. And then I started learning about the essential oils, and now just 3 drops, one drop
mm,
each of 3 different oils. I inhale it on the first notification that I'm about to start with a migraine, and it
mm.
goes. So, I like to look down other avenues rather than the big pharma one.
Yeah, I don't get why doctors are so against alternative medicine. So if their aim is to basically cure the sickness of the patient, the suffering of the patient. If the methods that are okay, let's say we notify the patient that these are not scientific, we don't know if they work, but if they work on the patient and the patient has tried it and as they say they don't have migraines,
Mm,
why do most doctors oppose that? I mean,
exactly. Yeah.
taken that even that patient has accepted to take the medical route alongside it with the alternative medicine. I don't
Mm.
find any problems with that.
No, no, no.
And
It's
yeah,
nice to keep an open mind.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think they shouldn't reject it. And when I use essential oils, I use it for scent around the house usually. And
Hmm.
it even like when you smell it and then it smells good and it makes you feel good, it still affects your mind. You know, we can't
It
just
is.
deny it has no effect. So
Mm,
yeah.
absolutely. Mm.
So back to the topic of aging. What do you think is the most
Oh no, you're
valuable?
not going to drop this one, are you? You know, it's funny how you can go off people.
Yeah. Well, there are three more questions in that section. I'll just get you ready
Oh,
from now.
I can feel a headache coming on.
So, what do you think is the most valuable lesson older generation can teach younger ones?
To live for the day, not
Mm,
to, yes, you have to make plans. Good to have dreams, but don't do that to the exclusion of this day, this hour,
mhm,
because you're missing out on a lot. And so many want to grow and be like whoever their, what's the word I'm after? Not mentor, whoever they think is the best person around, a celebrity or something. But
mm,
life isn't like that. Life is about here and now and doing what you can
mm.
and not just focusing on yourself, helping others as well. That's, I have a huge thing about that.
Do you have any regrets, or do you see them as learning experiences?
Both. Yes, I have some regrets, but some are small, like when we moved here, we moved from a big house in a hurry and lots of things were thrown, including a bag full of tape to tape reels that had my parents speaking on it. And
Mm,
that I regret that I didn't grab it back and bring it. I would love to hear their voices,
mm,
but big regrets. No, I probably that maybe I could have looked after myself more effectively, more efficiently.
mm,
And I do now always listen to my body. And I went through a time where the stress was high and I ignored it and kept piling on, piling on. And
mm,
that was when I had the breakdown. So listening to the body, listening to my old body is essential to me.
mm. I feel like a lot of people these days are out of tune with their bodies, and I feel like it's the fault of our societies. We're in a culture or a petri dish that doesn't look after our health.
Mm, yes. They'll, if you can stick a plaster on it,
Yeah.
fine. But if it's mental health, emotional well-being, then no. And there's so many medics who I had a damaged ankle
Mm,
and was sent to see an orthopedic guy. And I said, well, it's affecting me emotionally as well. I said, because I can't get out, I can't walk, I can't do a lot of things, and it's affecting me. Well, I only look at bones and feet and things like that. I don't look at minds. And I
oh,
said,
oh
but you
no.
cannot separate them.
Yeah,
He said,
yeah.
well, I'm not specialized in that. I said, well, you've been practicing for years. So it's not a matter of being specialized in it. It's a matter of accepting that you cannot separate them.
Oh, that's a grave mistake in my opinion. And I think that that differentiates a good doctor from a bad doctor. I'm a very new doctor. I can't say that for certain, but that's what I believe. And I
Mm,
don't know if you know Gabor Mate. He has this book, he's
yes.
called The Myth of Normal. And
Mm-hmm.
he basically illustrates this plague in the medical community where if you are a gynecologist, you're a gynecologist. If you are a neurologist, you're a neurologist. Like, but the human body, we compartmentalize the human body because our minds can't handle or understand the complexity of it. But in reality, it's one unit, it's the mind and the body.
Mm,
And
yes.
he basically puts this into perspective. And I have a personal story from this. I was having a practice in my gynecology department, and we
Mm-hmm.
had this gynecologist, and then there was this schizophrenic patient who came into the practice. She had to have a gynecological test, and me being like, I want to be a psychiatrist, so I'm definitely interested in the case, and I started asking about the schizophrenia from the gynecologist, and then he just turned into me. He was like, "Listen, I'm a gynecologist. I don't care. Just fix what I have to fix," and I just send it to the psychiatry ward.
Yeah.
So I really think it's a big problem, but a lot of people are moving towards that unified view of the human medical system now, I feel like.
Mm. About time too.
Yeah, yeah, it's a
Yes.
shame.
Yes. Mm.
So what
And
legacy do you
oh,
hope to leave with behind with
I
your
I
content? I feel bad
mm.
asking these questions, but I feel like these are really important. I feel-
I don't think I will leave any legacy. Hopefully people will think, yes, she was a decent person. She was helpful. She was kind. She did her best. And that's all that
I,
any of us can do.
I mean, I disagree. I think you'll leave a good legacy. I mean, not as if you're leaving now, but like
Thank
the
you. You know,
I
I'm
think I'm
going
just gonna
right
move
off
on from
you.
this section. Your YouTube channel is a huge achievement, honestly.
Thank you. Thank you. Hmm.
So
I,
go on,
oh,
sorry to
no,
interrupt.
I will plod on with it and see if I can hit that magic thing and get another Zoom off. But no
You
idea.
probably will. You probably will. I have my fingers crossed for you.
Oh, thank you, kind sir.
So, moving on to the closing questions. What is the next chapter for you? Do you have any new projects or goals in mind?
Yes, on a couple of different levels. I've got from my website, I've got a whole stack of blogs that I also recorded as podcasts. And I would like to make an ebook of those.
Mhm.
No idea how I would do it. And as you witnessed when we first started this, IT and me are not on the same page. We're not in the same book. But I think that would be interesting.
Okay.
And
I mean,
I'm not,
you will figure
I'm
it out
happy
for
to
sure.
ask for help. So I
Mhm.
will ask my granddaughter, what do I do?
Mhm.
So yes.
I'll definitely link it down there on the description. And
It's not written yet. Well, it's written, but it's not collated, and I've got to form it, and I don't know how to do that yet.
well, I
So
can link your website if it's already out.
thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
And also your
And my
YouTube
website's
page.
defunct. My website is no longer.
Okay,
So
whenever everything is set up, you can just send me an email and then I'll edit the description of the video. So
thank
that's
you.
the solution. Um, what advice would you give to someone just starting to create content or share their wisdom online?
Be genuine and be honest. And if you don't know, say you don't know. I mean, I'm happy to do that. And if I make a mistake, I apologize for it and get on with it. But
Mhm.
none of us is a fount of all knowledge. We all have gaps. And I would rather say, people say, will you do a piece on this? okay, but I would need to do some reading around it.
Hmm.
Others, I can talk for England on it because it's stuff
Hmm.
that I know, but I would never knowingly go down avenues that I'm not equipped to go down.
Okay, amazing. I just got the 10 minutes notification. I think it's a good place
Oh,
to wrap it up. I really
okay.
enjoyed this interview and thank you so much for accepting this.
It's
I
my
really
pleasure.
appreciate
I have loved it. I was really nervous, but thank you so very
it.
much.
Same here. Before every interview, I'm always nervous, but as we just glide into it, and the questions really help because at the beginnings, I find myself like getting lost, but then it
Mhm.
finds its own pace. Yeah.
I'm always getting lost, but it's amazing sometimes where you find yourself.
Yep. All right, then.
Thank you so much, Cass. It's been
Th-
great.
Thank you. Thank you. I really enjoyed it too. So until the next one.